So this story happens in about November of 1997. I had a steady gig as a jazz musician, jazz piano player, at a local gig in Wycombe, Pennsylvania. It gets dark early, so I'm running late to the gig, and I was on a road called Pine Lane in Bucks County, and I'm going at a good pace down the road, and going, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a deer runs out in front of me, and I hit it. And I felt awful. But when I hit this deer, I was going at a good pace that we slid a good 60 feet. I get out of the car, and I look at this deer, and I felt awful. I just felt awful that this happened. I'm looking at this thing, and all of a sudden, just like it's yesterday, I could remember this. Behind me in the woods, a woman's voice says,
"How's your hands?"
"How's your hands?" So I turn around and hear a woman in white comes out of the woods, stands in front of the car, and you know when someone's in front of your car, you see like they're kind of obscured by the headlights. So that's what she looked like. She was in white, but she looked very obscured by the light. So she reaches down and takes this 150-pound deer by the ear and drags it off the road like it's nothing, like it's light as a feather. Then says to me, "You better get in your car and get out of here, get off the road." Got in the car, and then I left. So I went back the next day, and thinking that maybe there was houses back there or something, or maybe there was somebody that actually lived back there that was in the woods that spooked this deer out, and that's how I hit it. But I went back there, and there was no houses, there was nothing but thick woods back there. And then come to find out later, there is a lady in white being seen in Bucks County. And I go back to my father telling me the story that back in the mid-70s, he had seen a similar a woman. And he had come home one night from being out, and let's face it, it was the 70s, and my dad was a little bit of a partier. But he came home one night, and he swears he was stone sober. And we lived in Upper Black Eddy at the time, and we lived across the street from the Delaware River. So we had a good vantage point of the river, and maybe about a quarter of a mile away, if that. So he was sitting on the front porch cooking a little steak that he had on a hibachi on a grill next to him on the porch. And as he's looking, it's probably like 2 in the morning, as he's looking at the river, he sees this white figure floating down the river, like floating on top of the water, and it looks like a woman, flowing robes and everything, hair. All of a sudden, she turns, and when she turned to look at him, her face came right up to his face. And then when she turned away, she was back about a quarter of a mile away again. But as she was floating on the river, she's echoing through the valley these words saying,
"I'm going home, I'm going home."
"I'm going home, I'm going home." And he swears that this happened even on his deathbed a couple of years ago. I asked him, "Did this really happen?" And he said, "Yes, it happened." So this lady in white is something that we're going to look into on another episode of Eric Mintel Investigates, because there is something seen in this area. And this is just not my account, and my dad's account is not the only account. There are other accounts of this woman being seen throughout the area. I know for me, it happened, and I will never forget it.